weird stuff aside, it is pretty neat that a lot of the guys probably been trading like 8 years, 20, 10 years, something. And we still jump on a call on a Sunday to recap. A lot of people, like few months in or like a year in, they're like, what's daily report card? But some people are gifted, some people, it's not even that. It's consistency wins over long.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the recapping part's really important. I unfortunately haven't done it as much as I'd like to just because I've been busy with other stuff. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, what like a lot of what drives progress isn't necessarily like doing anything to like increase. It's more like just plugging leaks. You know, a lot of it's just like cutting down like just a lot of like just bullshit trades that like when you don't really realize it. Like I do this a lot in my swing trading account. Like luckily it's smaller, but like just after I have like a really good month, I just start taking just all these little bullshit trades, and like little by little my equity just goes down and down. I just get bored. Like especially during the summer, like it's easy to just start bleeding money because you're just bored and you're just like placing all these. And like that's the easiest way to improve is just by like not even just like trying.
That's my problem too.
I mean, I would say the majority of people. Yeah, I feel like that's like the easiest. I mean, in quotes, easiest, but like the easiest fix. Stop losing unnecessary. So I do it a lot, yeah, without realizing it. Because it's small, you know, it's every little trade is like small. Because I'm like, I'm just going to try this, put on this little trade. And then, but it adds up.
I don't think any of us have egos here, hopefully, but one of the other things is just a lot of people just come and go. Like if we look at a year from now, 2 years ago, there were so many traders that were making massive posted P&L. Now they're not around. During COVID-19, typical stats, right? 95% of people fail. And then the 5% that make it only, so like that means portion of them are break even. And I think there was a stat that said ones that make 100K a year is only 2% or something. So, but that small little variance of keeping us in check, accountable, a lot of people don't appreciate, but it's a very, very big aspect. And I don't think you have to be in the industry long enough and appreciate. I think that's one of the benefits of holding yourself. It's very tough to hold ourselves accountable. But when you have a place where you're posting your charts and things, whether we like it or not, subconsciously at a deeper level, like, I'm gonna post. Do I really want to take this trade, knowing that I'm gonna post it, or got a recap of on it, and then having less noise too. There's a lot of times if you're in a chat room with a lot of XYZ. Yeah, so it sounds minor, but it's I think it's very very critical accountability.
The good thing is that with the firm, there's kind of like a lot of safeguards in place to keep you from really like drawing down big or blowing up big because you got the max loss. And then because we're like sharing stuff, there's like accountability there, you know? So there's like a few things that kind of makes it hard to just really go on a big drawdown or blow up, you know? Whereas like, you know, like in my swing trading account. So I still do like place kind of unnecessary trades in the prop firm, but I do it more swing trading account because that's like there's like kind of less eyes on what I'm doing there. So there is that like accountability, but like I definitely bleed more in doing like boredom trades there than I do. And then also the broker max loss, like if I could easily just like, I mean, sometimes like their support is like too good where I mean, I just message them and like in 2 seconds, I could just get my max loss removed. Like they have to listen to me. Not that that's happened, but anybody's capable of going on tilt any one day. If you're just having like a really, really bad day, no matter like how disciplined you've been for like a year, 2 years, 3 years, like any one day, and I know this because it's happened to me, like you would just completely snowball and get back. You know, like you see with Madaz and those guys, you know, like it's that can happen to anybody, you know, no matter how disciplined you've been, you know, if you don't have those safeguards, you
And you're right, all it takes is that one time. I've been there too. That one time, whether it's lack of sleep, arguments with family, loved ones, whatever, combination of sleep and people, and it becomes.
It used to happen to me in poker. In poker, like that was my problem was like I'd be like equity be going up, 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 up. But then what happens is like you'll just get these like string of bad beats where it's like you just get super frustrated and then you just spiral out of control. And then you have that like up, 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 and then you have that sharp move down, you know?
You guys wanna jump on the live stream? I don't know who else, and then we'll go over it. By the way, Adnan said, I don't know if you guys saw, he said he can't talk, he will listen. I don't know if Adnan can, I guess might not. So again, if anything you want change, let me know. We're gonna brief like about it. We can start with the gappers. JJ, do you want to take lead? Or them? No,
I mean, we're fine.
So July 6th, so we have to go June 29th. So I'm looking at gappers at 29%. Sorry, 60%. There's 11 of them. Going over when they faded, why they faded. Good old Blito, 50%. It had low cash, but it had no dilution. Was it a lockup?
Yeah,
trade?
but it's one of those. It's one of those like China.
So
The
how
thing
do you-
about these ones I've noticed is that they people always complain about like, oh, these China pumps, but in reality, like when they gap, they're actually usually good. It's only when they are like intraday runners or the volume kind of comes out of nowhere, or it's like a small gap. Because usually if they gap it high enough, like I don't know who's liquidating, but somebody is. They're usually good.
Is this a stat or is it a based on your just visual experience?
It's just based on my experience. I mean, I could also run the stats, and I think I have, or the underwriters on gap ups. Actually, I could probably think I actually have.
Personally, I don't want to. I want you to be involved as well. I apologize if I don't involve you as much.
Yeah, no worries. Just looking at the intraday gaps for the past week at like 100% range. I was looking at them.
Let me know if there's some. So when I do this for me personally, I'm looking through a repetitive behavior, very similar to like just price action. Like what are they doing? How is it fading? So it looks like 1, 2, 3, 3 liquidity events, gap down, fade.
a lot of pre-market. Notice that a lot of like pre-market gap off 4 a.m., 5 a.m., and then they'll kind of fade 7 a.m. plus.
I remember that last week. Yeah, last week, 2 weeks ago. So they would push up and then it opens up right here somewhere. Like a push up 1,000%.
BGLC the other day was really good. I know BGLC was good. That was a moon market pump.
Ooh, BGLC.
Yeah, I wonder how many shares that guy bought before he did the video.
Was it-
I mean, that thing went.
Yesterday? Like, did he do it? Did he announce it? Did he announce it on June 30th?
I don't remember exactly. It was. If you have the chart up, it was the night before.
You guys see my screen, right? Okay. So it was June 30th.
Yeah,
That's crazy. So he made bank. Holy smokes. From $2 to 22. What the? But I think he probably got paid, no? Legally, he should disclose it.
Yeah, he'll usually put it in the.
Yeah, BBLG was really good too. On June 26th pre-market. There's been really good pre-market ones. DAIC. That's what I'm kind of looking at now. Is kind of waking up and just.
So by the way, WETO. So for Lafferty IPOs that gap up, 180 days of the IPO, they 85%.
Lafferty IPO gaps up. And if it gaps up within what?
180 days of the. I probably have other numbers.
If it gaps up. So if it gaps up after 180 days?
I mean, just in general. I mean, most of these China pump IPOs, if they gap big, they'll fade. If it's a small gap or if it's a midday runner, then they can be.
Yeah, it's important. I think it's also important to distinguish if it's a WhatsApp pumping them back in the day. Those used to be gappers, and then they would squeeze it. Those would be super tricky. Okay, let's go back on track in here. We're trying to find some patterns while we're putting all our brain power together. Let's see if Adnan's watching. Okay, Adnan is in here too. So you guys tell me. I'm just gonna spit out stuff. Please spit out whatever you think if you see a pattern. So I'm seeing a bit of a shift. Arsenal said it used to be like massive 1,000% push pre-market, open week at like 30, 40, 60%, and then fade off. I'm noticing into the open, it's pushing in above pre-market highs so far. Replication, like when I'm looking at what can we do to replicate, I'm noticing things are fading relatively off the open. This was the kind of the exception. But these are the best faders from last week. They kind of faded off the open, no push. This I've noticed a lot in the past 2 months. Personally, I have a playbook that's called a stop hunt midday. So if somebody's long, they accumulate their pushover, take out the stops and kind of sell. If they see, oh, there's not enough buyers to continue to push it higher, if it's not a squeeze, then it just fades off. So I don't have this is something I'm definitely looking to automate. But it's very critical in the cycle of weaker cycles. So if you're doing it manually, this is very, in my opinion, it's good at around midday or 1 to 2 p.m. And the reason for that is back in the day, JJ probably remembers these guys when they have the float locked, they need some time to dump their shares. So they would do that, and they don't have enough time to play the games. So that's the stuff that I'm noticing. This, I don't even know. DAIC is nice. Adnan plays this above. I would have low-key shorted here. Maybe gotten stopped out. I don't know how you guys would play that. Anything else you guys notice? Anything you guys that sticks out?
Not for me.
Arsenal?
And the crypto theme is still hot. Be mindful of.
That BMNR, that Tom Lee, apparently he's like an OG and a badass in crypto, and he's doing what Michael Saylor's doing, but for Ethereum. So that's crazy. They did a pipe at $4, and I think the stock gets massive.
So it's gonna go higher.
I missed this, but the filing on they did the registration rights agreement, so that means that the registration is going to come out within 20 days. It'll be a good short going into that. And actually, it might even be like SBET, because they should be able to file a S3 ASR, which means it'll be effective immediately.
Don't they have to be like $1 billion market cap? 2 billion?
Public float, or excuse me, yeah, float value.
Yeah, the market cap is like 830 million, unless I have it. The market cap right now is 830 million, based on the numbers that I'm seeing.
The shares held by non-affiliates is like almost all of that.
Oh, never mind. It says market cap is 8 billion, not 800 million.
Regardless, yeah, they'll be they should be able to do S3.
But the question is, I guess they will dilute. Anybody should dilute from $4 to not even whatever. Since the
EXI, NAKA, and then obviously SBET, when the registration came out, those stocks tanked.
BMNR is equal to SBET. What's the other name?
UPXI, and I can't remember. I think DFDB was one.
Oh, JNVR, was that the one?
Yeah, that one's DFDB.
Once the S3 S. Is it S3?
Either linking back auto shorts.
Well, you're that confident? Let's see if it has options. Hopefully they get options before. When the options.
Why wouldn't.
So basically that S3AR means they can dilute and raise money at any point. And it's unlimited.
It means they don't need any ASR means automatic shelf registration.
So then they have to either fill the books or just do an ATM offering, and then they would get money. But
yeah,
what if
this would be for the registering the pipe shares, so that 55 million shares at $4 or whatever, they'll be able to be sold.
But you think they're gonna sell?
And even if they don't necessarily like all dump, it should be panic just like the other ones.
I hope they have an option. If they do, I would probably do deep in the money spread. Like if the stock is trading 135, I would short like the 100 on a third Friday of the month, that's where a lot, and then buy like one. And you can get 2-to-1 risk reward. Even at 50% accuracy, it's a net EV, positive EV. Okay, very cool, very beneficial. We'll keep an eye on that. And if you see a JJ, please tag the room. I will participate. I trust you. So we lose money together if it doesn't work. So nothing else you guys see from here?
No, not really.
Cool.
Nothing on mine.
This 2. Thankfully, I didn't get involved with this one. But this is an interesting price action that I'll look into. I would think that this was gonna fade down. I could see shorts being involved.
Yeah, last one.
I have a feeling many day traders did. But the gap value is 7. I wonder if admin was involved. It looks like an intraday setup for sure. Like I would short this minimum and then this tier 2.
Another setup I've noticed. See how that squeeze at the end of the day, like how it kind of has that top?
Yes. Yeah. So whenever stock like this closes into the highs, sometimes it just fades off, or sometimes it has 1 or 2 push. But once it stops,
Very small, if anything.
yeah. But I think sometimes you want to be cautious because it can drop to like 6. So if I were to, I used to trade this after hours, but it's tough to be honest with you, because my own flaw to be open and vulnerable used to be not pay attention to the risk. I would just say, oh, I'm gonna give it a little bit of wiggle room. And long story short, once in a while when it just rips, and then you're just like, what the fuck? And then you're like, I'll buy it. And that's just horrible when it happens. But yeah, this is because I've seen it many times as well, where if it has a massive rip, I guess from $1 to 400% or 1,000%, closes into the high, tends to have a pullback. But I think once it becomes lower than the close or around these candles where there's volume, if it becomes lower than that, especially as pushed, very good opportunity. But it's scary because if you don't obey your risk after hours, it can, like something like this, can actually probably, holy smokes, gap value was 250. Wow. Yeah, this day I took a loss. Yeah. After hours, it should have faded. Same thing, but oh yeah. I think EE lost like 3 million or something. Okay, so these are the other traps. I'm sorting it by range. That's nasty. That is nasty. So there's a failed breakout in midday at 12. 28%. Let's see if midday runners are tough. It has been tough these days. Lower volume. Yeah, tough. Okay, interesting. Maybe that's our long setup arsenal. Look at these midday runners. But maybe it's hindsight. Holy smokes, from gap up 8% on ASF faded. Did you follow this, JJ? Metech? Testing, testing.
I didn't realize I was muted. I don't even remember that one. How big of a gap was that?
Very low, 8% fade.
But let me see the daily chart. Was that just like
It's a bigger market cap. It's 700 mil. I can't pull up the daily on this one. I think it's a non-play for us. I can't make anything of that, so I'm just gonna go by the good old return. Okay, EMPG. This is what you're talking about. 21 $21 pushes.
because a lot of people are trading pre-market.
Yeah, it's the algos, man. They short when it's up like 40%, 50%, and then it goes up, and they have a 200% stop, and then it goes to 100%. They have another 100% stop. So the stock goes from 4. So when it has a deep pullback, I remember Adnan mentioned that once it has a backside, they could get involved. I always stay as much as I can. GDH, interesting. ETHG, that's crazy. Same thing, 50 cents to open. So this is one of the other things that actually always tends to work, I'm realizing. And I have back tested this. This is one of my strategies, and I'm gonna put on the algo, is like when it pushes very heavy and it retraces, comes back like 60%. Normally logical, like pre-market it traded 16 million, which is pretty crazy to be honest. So if it has faded this much, and then it, even if it gaps up, you can kind of put a wide stop. Basically the accuracy is really high. So as weird as it sounds, if you know a strategy has a high accuracy, you can do two things. You can either put a heavier stop, a tighter stop, and increase your P&L, or you can put a wider stop, knowing that the accuracy is very high. I think I'm likely going to put a wide stop on this type, but I've noticed over like a large period of time, even when it's a bullish cycle or bearish cycle, when a stock fades 60-70%, these tend to do really well. And I think one of the reasons is because it's no longer quote unquote the hot chick, because people don't get interested. If it goes up, people are back holding, or it's open, they're like, the heck with this, I want to focus on another ticker is running and it has volume, and that's bullish. So this is a very interesting aspect, something can make money off. I'll definitely try to put a bunch of stress. You guys notice anything else? Arsenal, anything?
Other than shorting lately, I'm just looking for making sure I don't pick like that one runner, that BMNR, not fighting stock.
Yes,
This is pretty good for short.
I think you have done a good job and I think Adnan has as well, where it's like we've picked up a month ago, there's always like one stock that runs, that has all the long's attention and just runs and runs and runs. So if you just avoid that or try to minimize damage on that, we'll be okay. This again has popped up. I don't know if it was the same ticker, CLRD. It does a stop hunt. Oh, we have a new person. Oh, Martin's here. Martin Rafiqan. We're streaming. So this is a stop hunt that we're talking about that's been working. The Weibuy, I think, is a China name again. BNMR. BNMR is, I haven't researched it, but my gut says to leave it alone unless that thing comes on that JJ says. SAR,
right?
S3 SAR, yeah. Is that the name?
I mean, if you look at I mean, if you look at all the other ones, I mean, they've all haven't really been easy. ASST slipped in my mind. KNW, I think was another one. SBET, they all been like really choppy. It's not like they've been really like easy trades on the short.
The problem here is, I may be wrong, haven't done it super deep dive, but Pomeli apparently is like a hodler, which is like hands and holder of crypto for a long time. I don't know if they would sell that, but I can see if they put that dilution thing, like if they're diluting, just like QBTS, where it will have a selling pressure.
Yeah, I mean, he's not the only guy.
I was surprised to see Short Bear had actually longed it on dip. When
I mean, it was a nice, I mean, in hindsight, because I was mentioned, but it was a nice multi 3-day breakout, you know, the ones we always talk about. Big move up on day one, consolidate day two, breakout day three.
But I think he was buying it at $45, which was shocking to me.
He bought the breakout. He bought it in the
How do you guys see that?
No, Lucas Short.
He posted a chart.
I think he posted, JJ, I have to double check. I think he's mentioned in that post at the comment that he was buying from 45 because of Tom Newman.
Oh, really?
We'll ask him. But yeah, I was like, okay. I think I did a bit of research and I was like, nah.
He came in the day with a large long. So he was long the day before. He said from the high 50s.
Yeah, but prior to this hindsight thing, I would have thought because it's so extended, it would have been a nice swing short. I wasn't swing short, but after the red day, at least it would do a gap fill or something. Nevertheless, anything about this this other thing, this midday runner range? Any comments? Anything that you guys picked up on? Somebody's posting. Oh, JJ.
I just posted. I think I'm gonna go back to longing some potential crypto plays. The risk reward's so good. If like any news comes out, you're gonna get a 200%. The one I'm looking at, or I'm actually long some, is NVVE.
Oh yeah, the good old.
They hired or they brought James Altucher on the board, some crypto consultants. So it's sitting at like around $1, like just a little bit above, I think, all-time lows, but it's pretty good risk reward, that one.
Okay, so then I guess this raises a question: what happens if the names gap up? Being the chicken shawarma, I don't know how I feel about it.
I mean, I really just stay away on the short side whenever there's something like EM&R happening.
Mm. Aaron the plumber saw the charts and he's like, I am interested in this opportunity. Girlfriend, go away. The charts are coming up. Is that what interested you, Aaron the plumber? Well, it's a perfect opportunity if you want to give your 2 cents. So we did the gap up and range, we're done. Now we're talking about the best opportunities of the past. We discussed BM&R, Tom Lee being involved, and another really good edge that JJ shared is when or if, likely when they post the S3 SAR, which is basically, I'm probably not saying that correctly, I feel like in my head, but the idea here is that they can do unlimited, they don't need an effect, they can dilute whenever they point. And he was generous enough to share the other times that this has happened was SBET, UPXI, DFTV, and they had a super fade. So essentially when that gets announced, given the big extension, it will make a good short.
Did they already fade a little bit prior the filing coming out? Do you remember?
SBET or the other ones? Yeah, I mean, the way it works with that's why I always post about, like, I always highlight when what the registration rights agreement says about when the filing's coming out, because especially on these multi-day movers, they almost always will fade going into that filing. That's pretty much how it always works. It's very rare to see trending up before the filing.
But the real dump is there still, I mean, the moment the filing comes out, or let's say on the day the filing comes out, there is, and I didn't, that's why I'm asking, I don't remember anymore on this other crypto. How did the stock react on this day? Was it a huge fade?
Yeah, it was like, I mean, SBET was a little bit of a delay. I think you probably had like a minute, maybe even 2 minutes to get in. But then once the reaction hit, it was like down like 80%.
80%?
I was just, look at the
I remember
after hours on that day. It went, yeah, that one and UPXI.
Bro, the only issue that I have, my brain says, is because these guys are guys that would hold for a long period of time, I don't know if it'll fade that hard.
I mean, it was the same thing though as SBET. These are all like
Reputable guys? They're all reputable until the money kicks in, huh?
I mean, when you're up like 500% or whatever, kind of hard not to sell. And it's a lot of people too. That thing, it's not just one person. There's a lot of people.
Their average is 450 from the pipe. Wait. So here's a newbie question, because I thought the lockup. So if the pipe was at 450, it needs to be either registered or, I guess, would they sell it as soon as that thing happens, or does it require registration?
That's what I'm saying. They can sell as soon as that S3 ASR comes out.
Oh, that I didn't know. I thought that was just for the effect. So even for registration, you're saying it's automatic registration? Lockup period ends?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, but then, I mean, I don't think any of these guys agreed to
I
it.
assume they had a lockup.
I mean, it's pretty rare for the insiders might, but the investors, they're not going to agree to it. Why would they do that?
Thank you. So that's a very good opportunity there. Do we have...
That faded from 32 to $9 in 10 minutes, in after hours, when the filing came out.
Say that one more time.
SBET faded from $32 to $9 in 10 minutes.
Was it after
After
this
hours.
date when Arsenal posted? So it went from 120 to 80?
It was on the
Arsenal, when was this?
This lemma was May 30th. May 30th. The ones of
JJ, if you have the exact date.
what JJ said, that the stock was already fading quite a bit from the highs to this filing. Aslan posted the day when it had its big reversal from the highs. This was the reversal day. This was the top. But it took another 2 weeks or so before the filing came out. And on the day of filing in after hours, it faded from 32 to 9.
Can you show us the gap up from this day, Arsenal? I don't know if this is... It's just like everything. The freaking guys, they have the position themselves. Yeah, this looks like a gap up from 80 to... Okay. Yeah. Oh, does it?
How long they have? How much time they have on BMNR to file, or what's your
Yes.
when they will filing roughly?
It says
Registration
filing date registration 20th day after the closing date.
20th.
Could also be sooner.
Yeah, so basically within 20 days. The offering hasn't closed yet though, because I noticed that in their 10Q the outstanding shares was still only 6 million, which means they haven't.
Okay.
But yeah, within 20 days. So it's like good to basically look for a daily setup and then look to potentially position short. That way, it's a scenario where you could get the fade going into the filing, and then you could even add on the filing.
That would be a killer play. JJ, that would be killer. So the offering hasn't closed yet, you said?
It's a private placement. I don't know if there's difference to an offering regarding the closing.
I mean, it's the same. Closing just means that the shares are officially
And it's 20 business days?
calendar. So basically, we're looking at by the end of the month, and it could, obviously, because it needs for them to have the float value to be able to do the automatic shelf registration. Those shares need to be outstanding, so the deal needs to be, because as of right now, as of July 3rd, they're actually they might actually even without the shares from the private placement, they might have over a 700 million. But, I mean, either way, they'll be able to do they should
So
be able
20 days from the day of the private placement, which was on Monday, 30th of June,
20 days
is from the closing. Okay. And do they report the closing to a separate KYC?
They usually will do a PR or a filing and a closing. Which it'll probably be tomorrow or Tuesday.
So is the current float 3.2 million?
Yes.
Yeah. So if it's 135, then it's 450.
It doesn't matter. It'll be higher with
Jason, did you notice they reported the 10Q on the 2nd of July, and on the 3rd of July in after hours they did a 10Q amendment correcting the outstanding shares from 4 million to 6 million. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
That's also strange, right? Strange mistake. On the original 10Q filing, they have 4.3 million shares outstanding with 1st of July, on 1st of July. And then 1 day later, they report they have 6.1 million shares outstanding.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
ever
interesting.
since we started doing our manually audited float and outstanding, you'd be surprised how often these guys mess up. They're reporting outstanding. It happens all the time. It's really annoying for me. They'll even do stupid shit where they'll leave off a 0, so look like it's a lot smaller than it is. Up our reporting. There's so many errors that these guys have in their filings because they obviously they're not paying a lot of money to the lawyers or legal teams to keep this stuff updated.
700 million.
If the market cap is
So the-
700 million, is this the float or outstanding shares?
No, it's so the float value has to be 700 million. That's one of the requirements to get that. So what I did is I did 700 million divided by 3.5 million, which is the float outstanding, given they don't increase it. The stock price has to be around 200 for them to have something like that.
Yeah, but the public note is going to be 59 million once the private placement closes. So all this, it doesn't.
Yeah, good point. If we look at it so none of those guys have 10. I guess it'd just be a big amount. It doesn't matter. You're
The way that public float is calculating stuff like baby float, it's the shares held by non-affiliates, which is different than they're two different things.
So if somebody owns more than 10%, that would still be considered as public float?
If they're not considered an affiliate, yeah, that counts.
So 10%
So like Tom
is only
Lee-
for baby shelf.
So Tom Lee, for example, so what you were saying earlier, so he probably won't be able to sell because he's an affiliate. He's joined the board, but he's only going to own a portion of the private placement. The rest is owned by those 6 or 7 other funds, and they.
Okay, interesting. Very cool. Very good opportunity, and I think don't abuse the low kits again, but this is something that low-key we'll be very lucky to have that opportunity.
Probably makes sense located every morning.
Don't abuse, but look at a little bit.
Do is trade it once, right? Because the thing is, as long as we use it right. I'll probably be looking for an entry anyway.
Yeah, as long as it's like 10% of your daily max loss, keep it within reason. But yeah,
on Thursday it was pretty. I mean, not expensive considering how high priced it is. It was like 25 cents a share, or at least that's what it was in Cobra.
Yeah, regardless, thank you, JJ. This is a really beneficial.
It'll be expensive,
but it will be amazing for us. It's 0.00. So all of us, what JJ said, I think we should. I am gonna keep a very close eye on. Maybe just risk 0.5 R. But the problem is, it's not gonna be for a week or two. So
I mean, it could be any time. It could be any day. It's just because they say 20 days doesn't mean it's not.
Do you think that I think it will be similar like SBET where the stock fades? Maybe they're even hedging and shorting before the filing comes out for a few days so they get better prices and then the filing comes out. So I think that's we will see a similar price action before the filing comes. Probably
Yeah.
it would make sense.
I think one thing that I would think about is when the offering closes, how does that have an effect? Would people be shorting it at that point?
That generally won't do
Yeah.
any closing.
So if a closing a non-event and then SCER is like 20 business days after the closing, then I think
Yeah.
you'll have some. Okay, let's move forward. Any other big opportunities that you guys think in the past or in the upcoming future? That's something we need to keep
So
an
I
eye on.
also think I think I've been watching SRM still holding up, but I'm also watching that one for. So this one I don't think had a registration rights agreement, so we don't know when that's coming out. Also, they won't have an 3 ASR because it's not gonna have the float value, but I still think it'll be a good short ahead of that $7 breakdown once that registration comes out. So that's another one that I'm keeping an eye on.
SRM?
Because remember, it up from like SRM. Yeah, that's the Dominari one.
Will this be also an S3 ASR or?
No. Yeah, it'll still need. But I still think it will fade ahead of the filing and will fade even more. Yeah, I was actually shorting that breakdown and then I covered because it came back up. But that has a lot of meat on it. If you look at the daily chart, it has a nice.
That's right here. I don't know why I have it. Everybody else. So I'm going to be drawn.
So maybe if it like wicks above, 9 or so, tries to break out over 9.
Yeah, those are usually, if it was to do something like that, JJ, I think they're very notorious for that. Take out the backside liquidity event, the high being 908, so it goes 930, 940, 950, and then it comes back below 9. That'd be a really good risk reward. Any other opportunities that were in the past or we could use in the future?
CYN is another one that's kind of a nice, probably nobody's watching, that has a nice gap to fill as
Could
well.
be a slow fader.
I like these daily setups where there's just a big gap to fill.
I get scared though because it just gap up one day. I don't know how.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. I usually will just try to.
Intradays?
The only one I would probably try to swing is like I wouldn't swing SRM. I'd be too, because that one's scary because of the connection with like the Trump juniors. I was actually long thinking that they might release something related to them. But yeah, I wouldn't swing almost anything in this market. It's too scary for news where to come out. Stocks go crazy.
For me, the good old everybody who's been hating that I like this PLTR short. I think the reason why I like it, there's a lot of holes on it, and their business model, a lot of their revenue in the past has been that the government military was paying them, government's spending. They have verbally mentioned they're going to do that. On top of that, the geopolitical war, USA is trying to keep a distance. They're not trying to get involved. So I'm thinking like 6 months. And what PLTR is doing, they're transitioning into civilian, non-military related AI. And I saw a bunch of interviews of him boasting that they were the first AI, blah, blah, blah. But it's not easy to transition. So the risk reward in this stuff, man, is going to be really neat. If it works, I think honestly it could go down to like 60, 70. It needs some future guidance and sales numbers to be missed. Nice retracement. If I'm wrong and AI is a hot sector, AI is, the market's been up because of the 3, 4, 5 names have been in AI. So like if I'm wrong, it will completely show that I'm wrong. Whenever I can get a setup. So what I've been trying to do in the past is like this. So if this was the high of the day, this was the high on intraday, I would wait until it's like down here. And then I would either risk this day or I would risk this. And it would work, and then I get stopped out, or I would take some profit, stop out. And then same thing here. I got in down here, 144, 145, risking $3, and I got very lucky in this. And I think I'm still short. I covered some into this day because this is notorious for. I'm not gonna go too much into it, but this is another opportunity. Could be wrong, but this is one of the setups. If it works, because you're risking, like it's 10-to-1 risk reward in here, and you just have to wait, be like a sniper mode sitting, and yeah. The other stuff for me personally, these are the other things that I'm watching. I am getting my ass kicked on quantum sectors, RGTI, QBTS. I'm trying to risk manage it. It's okay. It sucks, but it's LAES and stuff. That's all I can think about. And for my add-on, I agree with JJ. If there's a crypto name coming along, I would be cautious on the gap up. Anybody else want to go next and go next and be the next missed opportunity or the future upcoming opportunity that they want to share?
I have a question.
Yes.
Is there anything you guys are worried about when you said you don't want to short crypto-related stocks, correct? Or did I misunderstand?
We didn't really.
I mean, I just said that I personally don't really like shorting whenever there's a really mover. I mean, I think a lot of there can be really good opportunities because you get that failed replication that Adnan talks about, you know, where I mean we have got good faders like after ESPA and thing. It's just something I personal choice. I just don't do really well on these like sympathy plays.
Because there are a lot of stocks that have news with Bitcoin Treasury, and we don't really hear about them because they don't really make massive moves after the open, like BMNR. A lot of them, they just fade already in pre-market. So there are a lot of sympathies to BMNR on a day-to-day basis.
Which ones were sympathies?
I just remember in pre-market, sometimes there were stocks that went up like 100% on crypto treasury news, and then they just faded. So for every BMNR, there were like two or three other sympathies that just faded already.
But I think the other thing actually that's important to differentiate the type of news, because the ones that had momentum were the ones that had like actual like real investors investing money in a private placement, and then you had a lot of these other ones that said like, one, they just say they're launching a crypto treasury, which doesn't really mean anything. Two is they're saying like, oh, we're gonna get an equity line to fund a crypto treasury. So it has to be like specifically that some outside fund is investing significant capital in the company for crypto treasury. So it can't just be like, oh, we're going to do an equity line, which there's no guarantee they're going to be able to raise any money. Or like, oh, we're starting a crypto treasury. Like anybody could say that. Those are the good ones. Feel the continue momentum.
Yeah, I remember ASST. I believe they announced the crypto treasury, and on the same day they also announced the merger with, I believe, Stripe. And the co-founder of Stripe was a famous politician in USA. It was like an Indian guy, Vivek Ramaswamy.
Yeah.
And so this one also had a big investor behind and made the big move.
Yeah, and even SRM had that Justin Sun guy, who I never heard of, but is apparently a well-known. Like I looked him up, he had like 5 million followers on Twitter. I had no idea.
Oh wow!
Because the thing about that, like, I was gonna do a video on BMNR. Like, it makes a difference when you have all these big names involved. Because I even just remember when SBET was going crazy. I'm in this crypto group, which it's just crypto. These guys talk about what meme coins are buying, what crypto tokens are buying, and then all of a sudden, when SBET came out with that news, all these guys are talking about SBET, you know, and one guy was like buying it. So you got to think about like how much more demand that is, you know, when there's some like well-known crypto people. Now your normal small cap stock trading audience, you got like thousands and thousands and thousands of more potential buyers.
Interesting. That's a very good separation, JJ, where basically the news is, if it makes some sort of sense and there's a to avoid. I think I am a bit risk averse as well, and I personally, if something is running hot midday, I obviously avoid it. But if it's crypto and hot stuff like that, I would also avoid it, Ben. But if it's I use the longer I think and the longer I trade, the more I'm keeping it simple. Stupid is actually more trying to dig deep. Like you have to have some deeper knowledge into the fundamentals and what the storyline, like who owns a share, what's going on. So if there is a crypto name theme stuff going on, and unless it's a very hot sector, like 3 of them are all pushing, it's something like a multi-day runner, I would avoid it. But if there's like 5-6 gappers and 3 of them are crypto, and one of the other things we went over earlier is sometimes like there's some stocks that push 500% and then near the open it has already faded from pre-market high, like 40-60%. They tend to continue down. So I think if it's that type of scenario, only that type of scenario, I would be comfortable shorting. Or if there's like 6 gappers, more than like there's 6 to 8 gappers that are 60% or 80%, or they're already gapped up that day. So for me, basically be a bit risk. Anybody else have any thoughts on it, or should we move forward in biggest opportunity in the past? Any thoughts, Arsenal, Martin? Let's go through step by step so that I'll call on everybody. Ben, do you have best opportunities from past week and potential opportunity for the upcoming week where we can make money or lose money? Preferably give us the when we're making money.
Yeah, so I just got to the PC, so I don't have prepared anything.
No problem. Cool.
But I will short any. I don't mind shorting crypto-related stocks. Only the ones that have a credible investor behind, I will avoid. But anything else, I will short.
We'll come back to you, Ben, if you have anything after. Arsenal, do you have any missed opportunities from last week? And the idea here is to mention like how we could have capitalized on it without hindsight bias or some behavior, or in the future, how we can be billionaires within one trade.
So for BMNR day 2, I tried getting long. I just held my bias and I didn't stick with the chart pattern because the move did happen. It just happened a few days later. So after I took the loss on that, I kind of just gave up on it. So that felt like a missed opportunity because it was really good risk reward.
You're talking about this day, 47?
Yeah, that the second day is the one where I kind of I had a good average and I kind of gave it back. I'm trying to pull it up.
Are you able to look at my screen?
July 1st.
How would you long it?
I long the WeWap reclaim.
Yeah, that's a good sign.
Yeah, so I have that chart right here. And then, hey, I'll send it. I did trade it, but I kind of got frustrated with it. And then, like, you could see I was kind of up quite a bit from 50 to like 62. It's just, I was just too early on it, I guess. I should have kind of kept it on my radar. And once I saw that daily level clear out on Friday, that should have been a good indication. It's time to get long. Like at 75, it was where I should have been long. So I want to review that and make sure.
Can I suggest something? Very few times. It happens once in a blue moon, but if something is a short squeeze, I think you were going for a short squeeze, try to risk the low of the previous candle. Very few times it actually breaks it. So if you take a look, like your risk here, if your risk was this, you wouldn't have been stopped out. So if you entered in here, like I think you assumed, I'm assuming you got here risking the red and green line, which is awesome. But if you bought this low, it's always a bit higher. It's always a bit higher. So even if you entered here, I could see risking this, but you got to risk this low, in my opinion. Because I love, as a short seller, I love short squeeze if I'm able to be in the correct. And that's the one pattern I realized. Once in a blue moon, it breaks the lows and then it reclaims. That's like, you can stop out and re-enter. But if you're risking the previous low, you will be really well off. So you took it because of day 2 play, potential possibility.
Yep, continuation. I like the news. I kind of got the data analyzed. And I was thinking it would have that secondary move like in right away, but I guess it took some time for it to kind of go that way. So that's just something I'm going to look at for the future.
I want to make some assumptions here, and you tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I love this entry. I don't know if you waited purposely for red to green reclaim. I could see you waited for VWAP, red to green. Was there anything else that you were?
WeWap reclaim is essentially the signal because I have the scan on my trade ideas and I kind of just didn't even look at it once I saw it dump because I was kind of biased on it. And then when I saw it kind of reclaim, I kind of knew it was time to get in. I should have risked 46 realistically because I would have had a good day if I did.
So there's a variable called VWAP reclaim and trade ideas.
Yeah. So I have a setting. I shared it in one of my recaps, but I can share it with you guys too. It's really easy to make. You just start like a new window and then you can pick the alerts. So the alerts I have are like above WeWap and below WeWap. Let me just kind of show you guys. It looks like this. This is just kind of what it looks like. I'm still going to make it a little bit more specific because I think there's a few variables I gotta like volume, criteria. These are just alerts. I could send my whole layout if you guys are interested.
I would be interested. I think it's a cool variable to have on Flash. We'll inshallah add it up.
I'll upload it here. I have one for pre-market.
So this is your missed opportunity, relatively. Anything you see in the future that we can make money on?
Other than longing some of these crypto plays that are just going crazy, not really. I really like the short side lately. Been good.
JJ, do you have any missed opportunities in the past week and in the future? Your BMNR was beautiful. I appreciate you bringing that up. It was golden. Anything else?
Miss. Yeah, I mean, I think there was a couple that I posted. I mean, nothing huge. Nothing that I'm like feeling sick about. So I guess not really. There were some. Obviously, there were some that I'd missed. That I wanted to trade. I don't think there was anything.
The idea of that is like, how would you have entered if it's without hindsight? Just so we could kind of learn from each other. Do you have an example I can look through?
I mean, WTO was one that it was just so quick. I mean, this happens a lot on ones where they pop up like right before the market opens, because what happens is I have like my watch list and then all of a sudden you get this gapper that's like moving up like 10 minutes before market open. I just posted. But yeah, this is like kind of textbook my type of play, right? Where it pulls under VWAP and then it pushes and fails under VWAP. That was one I just missed. It wasn't really ready for it. Like I said, it made its move right before market open, and I just
Okay, so this is an A plus setup because
because it's like I mentioned, China IPO stocks that got big, they are almost always good.
Brother Martin, any missed opportunities from last week and in the future next week? Any magic 8 ball says anything that we should do?
I didn't prepare much. On Friday, we had a nice fader LRHC, but I think this will do a reverse split on Monday, right? It will.
Which one is this?
LRHC.
Oh yeah.
They're doing on Monday or Tuesday? I think on Monday, right? Yeah.
Which was I was surprised. I thought it would close under.
Yeah.
It faded after a little bit, I guess.
They will. I think they will start trading at 9 a.m. Right. When they do a reverse split. There is no pre-market, or they just open trading at 9 a.m. But I might watch this for a pop. Probably it will gap down and just trade off. But if this pops, or if it even opens just slightly unchanged, might still be a good entry for continued fade. And SONN was holding up on Friday. It had a big run on Thursday. Wednesday and Thursday. This one to watch for next. I think they have an S1 open. They will.
Wait, isn't this your guys' day 3 setup, Martin and Arsenal, for the long, you evil longers?
I don't long this kind of.
No, I definitely don't.
Nothing in particular. I mean, if I saw it kind of make like a nasty move down and reclaim it, I'd play it long. Again.
Wait, both of you guys wouldn't buy the 450 kind of breakout long in here? JJ and JJ, would you?
SONN. Yeah, I mean, you're right. It is that kind of.
The only thing I'm concerned about is then. Yeah, I think they can offer. Can they offer?
They can do a warrant. They've done one in the. But it can cause the same sort of unexpected gap down if they. But yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for that, I lost on a short on Thursday, but because it's survived again. Normally, would be looking at for a long.
I think
One offering.
450 over under is a key. If it goes above 450 and Ed holds or something like that, it's squeeze. Or if it clears out the 450 and then it rejects. Awesome, Martin. Anything else? Brother Ben, do you have anything at the moment? I can think that's in the past.
You can pull up BMLR.
Sir,
Friday. Can do.
Friday.
1 minute chart.
Friday is yes, it's this one. This is Friday, right? Am I wrong?
Thursday.
Thursday is right. Yes.
Thursday.
Friday was. Holiday.
Yes.
Yeah, I would have I almost shorted it at 11:07. Didn't quite get the fill, but that was like my missed opportunity.
11:07. In here? How the heck?
And into the hold down.
Oh, in here. I guess this was almost a hold down or no?
And 17?
Yeah.
Not a hold down. No.
It was not almost a hold down?
I'm not sure.
Okay, so why would this be an A++ sell?
So on the daily chart, this already ran quite a bit. And then on Thursday, it accelerated into a parabolic and looked like the top was in with the 2 big green candles on high volume. And then the tape shifted into
Is this
where
Is this big volume? 10:59 and 11?
Yeah.
But wouldn't these be bigger volume? Red candle. So 11,
on 10.
like 11 and 11, you said 2 green candles, like 11, like I don't know if these are big volume candles. There's all these other candles.
So that 11 candle volume was pretty big. And before that, the volume was also very high on 10:59, that candle.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, and combine that with the acceleration in price to the upside and also the halt to the upside, the top. It really looked like the shorts were completely done with the stock. And then the first hold down came.
Okay. I hope this is not hindsight, but I actually was looking to long that. I remember the first time I heard this concept, I was like very annoyed. There's a thing called the Elliott waves, but it's a very similar concept that when something, if you feel like this is a short squeeze, and I know I had like it's easy to tell that it's a short. Whenever the first dip happens, it's a very good opportunity to long because patient longs are waiting, and also the ones that there's a lot of people, there always will be now, in the past, in the next 10 years. The first dip on a parabolic is always bought, and it gives a really good risk reward. So I was actually waiting for Revop to long this. It was on that thesis, but I didn't think because it didn't fill. What would your, so this is what I saw. I was like, had it dipped in here, my risk would have been this, 94. No, not 94, or whatever this, 82, 83 would have been had it gone to VROP or somewhere around that. So that was a missed opportunity.
It was very quick.
Where would you have covered or stopped out? And you still believe that to be, I know we should never use, but you're confident that this is an A plus setup for you?
No, it was a missed opportunity.
So what would you grade this setup? Because if this happened earlier, believe it or not, I would consider this to be an A plus. Not an A plus, but like a higher grade setup than this. Because if you combine this volume, I'm never not on 1 minute time frame, but combine like the volume from here. If we combine the volume from here to here, that's a big amount of volume. The way I always think about it is if it gets below here, then I would be looking to short, risking here. Because all these guys have to kind of juke it up. Okay, sorry. Didn't mean to interject, just my 2 cents. It's interesting. So that was missed opportunity. What else?
That was the only one that I just.
Moving into next week, is there anything that you're keeping an eye on that you feel like would be a good opportunity?
No, I just take it day by day and look what the pre-market brings.
Okay. No tickers or anything where you're like, this could be a good setup if XYZ happens?
I will pay attention to what BMNR does, but I don't have a specific plan of what I'm looking at.
Okay.
I will just look at what the pre-market looks like, and then I will decide if I.
Were you here when we talked about the pipe and after pipe being 20 days where they can post the SAR and how it
Yeah.
fades? Okay.
Yeah, so only the part on that big gap down SBET, the chart above.
Yeah, this one. So I think you did miss this one. This one basically.
I just remember this one.
So this one was before the SAR. And the commonality is there was famous investors in it. And this happened before, this happened after a month. When it got announced, it went down. JJ was saying he was going to potentially add something in here to take advantage of this. And then JJ had mentioned that once the offering closes, which has not closed, then the full value will be higher than 700 million. Then they can file the S3 ASR, which doesn't need an effect. So before this happens, you have multiple days of nice faders. As always, these guys know, like they short ahead of the news, right? This is something that we're going to be actively watching. We'll find some setups. For me personally, if I am patient, I'll try to, like, if it goes below the open price and I see some price action above, I'm probably going to put like a 0.5 R risk or something like that. If it has a gap up, some has to be liquid. And yeah, cool.
So do you wanna short it on that big move down in after hours when something like that happens?
I am not quick enough, and I don't have an algo that will announce it. I do understand the concept. I think, given my strength, I will likely, hopefully, inshallah, catch something like this. So this is a price action of how it is last close. This is a price action close, and then it gaps up. I don't think I could catch this. I'm not fast enough. I'm not fast enough. I haven't seen this enough, but I have a lot of respect for JJ. JJ, believe it or not, JJ is very humble. So hopefully he doesn't get non-humble from this. But JJ is definitely one of the smartest. So if he says that this happens often, I believe it. I'll do my best to have confidence in it. But, we all have our own thing. I haven't seen... It makes a lot of sense because it's like infinite dilution. They're trying to raise. I don't know if they... MSTR has given out preferred shares that's tradable at the market. So I don't know what would happen if BMNR does that. Maybe they would. Yeah, to answer your question, I don't think I'll be fast enough. But this I can catch. This I know I can catch well enough because the stock is super extended. There is some good investors in it, blah, blah, blah. But once I see the offering closing and I see a setup like this, I'll definitely get involved. Risking 0.5 R. And then if it goes below VWAP, hopefully I'll add somewhere here. I don't know if I'm good enough for this, but maybe if it goes above and then add it back here, risking the high, and maybe risk 1 R in total. That I could for sure do. Done it many times.
So is 0.5 R like a B setup for you?
Yeah, 0.5 R starter would be set up there. Yeah, if it's an A plus setup, like by the time it is a B setup, I feel uncomfortable with it. Whenever theme stock happens, it's hard for me, and I don't like. The older I get, the more I don't like parabolic shorts. And also, if it's a theme sector, I don't want to put like a 1.5 R, 2 R risk. I will happily put a 1 R, 2 R risk on a stock, a random non-ticker stock that has like a non-theme setup that has gapped up 85%, has dilution. No issues there. But because it has range, that's one of the reasons why I like getting in because you have an opportunity to add. Like if this happens in here, So if I could be risking 0.5R, but if it gets to this setup here, this, like specifically this, I would honestly put like a 1R risk, given that the stock is extended. So the stock is up 2,900%, if I'm not mistaken. My math could be off, from $4.50, or from the prior to the run. So when the stock is that extended, as a trader, I always think we just need to find a stock that has range and risk manage it. So this is a 0.5. This would probably be a 1 or 1.5R. A 1.5 versus this, or even like a 1R at risk. So in total, I'm risking like 1.5R. And this is only because the stock has run like 2-3 days, 500%, 600%. So I don't mind being wrong many times in that type of setup, knowing that if it works, it will give me like the opportunity to add because I'm able to predict range because it has so much, and just to gap up us. Because all these longs will want to sell. Like longs have X is low, or they send the risk the previous yesterday's high. They'll look at it below that.
Yeah, we should talk about MOG.
MOGO. JJ, by the way, if you're talking, you're muted.
No, most
Do you have a thought process on MOGO? It's a Canadian stock. Looks like cash flow positive. No, Canada's not so bad. We're semi nice. What?
Oh, you mean it's
Oh yeah. So you listed on US, but the Canadian company. What do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, this is another example where they just talk big about what they want to do with their crypto treasury stuff. They pull up some big numbers, like they say like they want to invest $50 million to crypto, but they still fade. For every EMNR, there are like 2 or 3 stocks that also are in crypto sector, and they are easy fades. So going forward, I will look for these type of stocks and short them.
Makes sense to me. JJ, do you have any nuggets for this one, other than just the news being like semi shitty?
no, not really.
Anything else you want to mention on this, Ben?
On this stock, no. I remember another one that was GDC.
How do you spell
There's
it?
so many of them. So it's a G, then a D, and a C. I think it was it was in May the 12th.
I don't know how to go back far. Interesting. Without going on demand.
Yeah, so the price action pre-market was similar to WETO, where it shot up in pre-market, but very close to the open. And these are usually also good faders.
This one?
So they go up close to the open. This one was also on like some Bitcoin news, Treasury, and they have good range to the
Yeah, we discussed that as one of the variables too. If any stock that goes up massive and it opens up, so this gapped up open at like 140, because this no longer becomes the hot chick. Like a pre-market volume it traded. Sometimes the other stock traded 14 million, this one traded 4 million. Basically, because it's not so hot chick, it will just fade off really nicely. As you can see, from $4 down to 250. So it's like a 30 to 40% fade if we catch that. Yeah. Very good setup. Yeah. Anything else, guys? Ben, anything else on your mind? Arsenal, JJ, Martin, anything else? Okay.
No.
So this is this one of our first bit that we finish in like an hour and a half? An hour? Maybe. Even we started late, so that's good. Congratulations, guys, on hopefully, finger crossed, making it less than an hour. But yeah, well, an hour and 20, 30 minutes. Thank you for coming on Voice. Again, as I said earlier, there's very few people that have been trading for a long period of time that consistently recap and also come on Sunday calls. Sometimes if you feel crappy and poopy, putting all this effort, work in, and performance is not kind of moving up, we kind of have to practice a bit of being grateful. There are a lot of traders that do fade away, that are not trading with us anymore. So the fact that we have survived past few months is kind of a good thing. And from the bottom of my heart, I do appreciate you guys being consistent and motivated and driven. It makes me happy. And some of the one-on-one conversations that I have, that I would like to be honest, have more. Some traders do have a breakthrough. And from outside looking in, past 2 months, 3 months has not been like an amazing good trading months for short sellers, lack of range, whatever the variable is. I don't want to make a participation trophy, but the fact that we have come across it and we have kind of survived from it, it's a really a good thing. And JJ mentioned something cool, that there is an accountability aspect, and we're posting in our rooms, and I encourage you guys to continue to do so. The accountability aspect is something most people can't quantify unless like you're in the prop firm or you've been trading long enough to appreciate that there's other traders that are consistent, successful, can kind of watch what it's a beautiful measuring thing, and it hopefully allows us to continue to trade for another 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. I'm very appreciative. You guys honestly make doing what I'm proud. I'm proud to be part with you guys to be.
Yesterday you tweeted something, right, on Too Good Capital. I think it was Lucas, right? That he had a breakthrough or something, or you teached him a concept.
I hid his name because I don't want to.
Yeah.
I didn't want his name. So, the people, some people internally, we always have a breakthrough. Martin, and everybody has their own personal journey that they want to share something. If you're okay, Martin, I could share a little bit about or you remember what you happened at the start, right? When you came into the firm, you're like, had to overcome something.
Yep.
It was something similar, man. It was something similar. He was having a very difficult time. But he's a very good, phenomenal trader. But just goes to show in front, it's like phenomenal, but there's a lot of issues on the back end. It is all him, but a lot of countless hours of conversating and encouraging and to be consistent in XYZ and I noticed a difference. Hopefully, he was.
I was just wondering wanting to ask you if whatever you
What was the lesson?
kind of teach him, maybe it's also relevant or maybe of value for us.
I wish. So there's nothing like aha moment. One thing, so the main thing here is everybody has a different, for some of us it's sizing, for some of us it's risk management. One of the things that I see having traded in the group, and also, I don't know if you guys know, I was indirectly doing mentorship for free for like a room of 5,000 people. Anybody that's P&L driven, mentally your mind is up. So my takeaway, without getting into this person, anytime we are P&L driven, that trader, like I can say with high confidence, and I can even be a bit egotistical about it, with my trading experience, very large percent of the times, that person is mentally effed up. So if you ever see yourself thinking about from a P&L, I made this much, I need to make this much, that's very bad. That's what we kind of been working on, to be honest. 8 months, a year, it was very hard to let go of that and shift into performance based. So whenever we conversated, it was all the main takeaway was don't talk about P&L. Talk about either increasing your accuracy or profit factor, and then writing down what you're going to improve and how you're going to improve. Actionable steps. That's takeaway number 1. Takeaway number 2 was he's very good at stock selection, as is JJ. So when you're good at stock selection, you would add to winner relatively consistent, pyramiding in, and just for whatever reason, we see social media posts and you can add to winner consistent. So we'd always add to winner, and then he would just get stopped out and the stock would go in his favor. So the discussion there was 6 months, 8 months, much longer than that. I was like, you can't just add to winner. You have to find specific spots to add. But what would happen is, so he's able to anticipate range, predict range accurately, as is JJ. So he would just add relatively. Like he would use the tape, he would use the price action in here, and he would add. And then when it worked, honestly, in a 0.5 risk or a 1 hour route, starting with a 1.5 hour risk, he would make 15 hour, 10 hour in one trade. And that would loophole a negative sense of win. And that is just very hard to take away because you have done it so long. That's one of the other positive aspects of being in a prop firm. It's tough because I don't know everything. And even if I do, it's just my thought process. But I was telling him, you shouldn't do that because if the if the sector is where we are on a weaker sector or a bullish sector, if you're ending at random spots, you'll get stopped out either at the top, near the top, and that would cause tilt. So those are the 2 things that he has done. And he hopefully, that's just verbal, but I hope and I pray that will reduce his emotions. And then when we all trade with no emotions, less emotion, we become kind of robotic. Your performance, they say the best traders are psychopaths because they have no emotion. So that's what he said. He's like, oh my God, I finally clicked in. Because he went through all of his trades and he's like, what the F was I doing adding here? And he's like, oh, thank you. And I feel like so anxious. I feel so relieved and scared at the same time. Like now it's finally clicked in. Shouldn't be adding random spots to a winning position. It has to be at a setup. Or number 2 is don't be P&L driven. So the other thing is I have mentioned, but like I am his direct. He always wanted to change. So if you're in a bad mental space, you should. Good question, Martin. Good question. I appreciate yours. Any other questions from that follow up? Anybody?
How about, good to know. I mean,
Thank you for bringing it up. I'm surprised I topped that one. JJ, Arsenal, Ben? Any questions on that?
It's been helpful for me too. I think a lot of people don't realize you have to be consistent with your bet size. I think he would just kind of get crazy, right? Like I remember looking at his charts, how much better. Yeah, it's nice to see that.
Yeah, certain styles do really, really well. If you're on a bear cycle, things are fading. You could add to a winner consistently and do really well, but that really misses your judgment. Like on the other two sector, when the stock goes sideways or higher, then you don't do well. And one of the other perks is when you are surrounded by other people that have a bit of experience, that have gone through similar stuff, they're able to point it out. Whether how we take it is up to the person that's listening. The other thing is, I guess we no longer were above it 1 hour and 30 minutes, but hopefully it was useful. We'll aim for an hour someday. If nothing else, thank you very much again. Everything.
Guys, see you tomorrow.
Have a wonderful, beautiful day, guys. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye. If you guys made it this far, that means you liked it, you enjoyed it. I hope this was useful, beneficial. Feel free to write in the comments what you want. And also, if you are a trader that has made 7 figures in one point in your career, 7 figures profit, and you want to see if we're a good fit, shoot me a DM and Do Good Capital Twitter handle. If somebody approaches you, just don't get scammed. Have a wonderful, beautiful day. I hope this is useful. Share it with somebody you think that would benefit from it. And thank you very much.